Welcome to the Boston Art Podcast. I am Brian Huntress.
I'm Theodora Earthworms.
And this is the episode.
Woo!
Yeah, I love the place so far. This is where you paint, you said?
Yeah. Paint, draw, smoke weed. You know.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah. You know, I just wanted you to, be
Get like a view
comfortable
of it.
and...
Did you grow up in this neighborhood?
Yes.
Mm.
I grew up in this house, but, when I was 18, I left. So then I came back because my mother was really sick and she was dying, so
Yeah.
I came back here.
Only child?
No, I had two sisters. One passed away. I got
Oh,
one
sorry to hear
left.
that.
Yeah, she was cool. She was nice.
Yeah.
The other sister, meh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
jeez.
is cool. The Looney Tunes art is really neat. I like is it on... It looks like there's separate layers, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, these things always suck to begin so bad, the recordings, because it's like, what the fuck do we even say? Or what do you even do when you start recording and shit? But basically, I think the reason that we obviously wanted to talk to you and record a conversation with you was so that just because you clearly have a really interesting story, just based off your art and talking to you at the show. Because for the recording, obviously, we did a really amazing split gallery show
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Dwayne and me and your art, so that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because I got very bits and pieces of your artistic story as it went on, and just the more crumbs I keep getting of what you've done, it's the more interesting it gets. So that's basically why we wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
So
Well, I just want you guys to be comfortable and, I mean, you know what I mean? Because I liked you guys.
Oh, thank you.
So,
yeah, maybe we could sit down or something
yes.
and talk or something.
I wanted to show you something.
Oh yeah, please.
If you don't. These okay, so that Edge of Darkness show.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still don't know why Dwayne picked dog pictures.
for the darkness.
Yes, when I had real dark.
So these are some larger paintings of
Yeah.
a man's leg hanging with a tipped over chair.
Yes, it's called The Smell of Suicide.
Oh my lord. Yeah, that's a sinister painting. It's beautiful.
Ah, thank you. Another one Dwayne doesn't like, but Meth Mothers.
He mentioned this one to us.
Right.
Yeah.
He always jokes about it.
With the two mothers smoking meth out of pipes, presumably, with the little rugrats crawling around by their feet,
Yes.
blowing clouds.
And that one's crawling toward the cat food.
The cat food. Holy fucking shit.
This is a crazy piece.
Yeah. Yeah, these would have went wonderfully in the show.
I know.
Did he feel do you think Dwayne felt like the drugs and shit would be like,
Yes,
or something?
I think so.
Too
yeah.
much.
Puppet show for the blind.
Huh. Wait. Oh. That's a good one. Are you familiar with Marc Chagall at all?
Yeah.
The artist. Do you see, I feel like in this one I kind of see that kind of dreamscape-ish, kind of chaotic narrative happening?
For that, yeah. Because it was supposed to be because it's called Chaos of the Dead. So.
I really like that piece. There's a lot going on, but the more you look at it, the more interesting it is.
Yeah.
Is that a demon having sex with a clown?
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, it is.
Oh, man.
Yes, it
That's
is.
Yeah, is the dog a motif for you? Is that something you
Yeah.
do? Do you feel like it's the dogs are telling a specific story aside from the humans or the demon people?
Sometimes, yeah, I use them as a symbol, or I'll throw them in another painting or something. But they're always orange.
I love how you draw them. They kind of have a fox wolf feeling to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. And here's one of the classic figures you were doing of the Italian man in black and white. That one looks beautiful.
Oh, I didn't know you had seen that.
Well, I didn't see this one specifically, but I feel like he kind of relates a little bit to some of the guys that you had in the show with the
Oh yeah.
you know like a similar face composition.
Yeah.
You know, that was beautiful in black and white.
Oh, thank you. I like to do black and white.
Yeah.
And I only use black and white. I don't use like, you know, middle gray.
Or
Yeah.
Payne's gray or whatever the
Yes.
fuck, right?
Oh, that's nice too.
What would you call it? Like a grisaille? Is that the fancy word for black and white and gray?
This, yeah, I guess. This is called Blood and Cocktails Ode to Noir, because I like film noir.
And it
that's more
appears to be a man who is shot dead in his home.
Yes. Yeah, so like I said, you know, I got a lot darker than dogs.
We're just the edge
Interesting.
of darkness. No, not quite.
Yeah,
anymore, you know?
they didn't. Right, that's a good point.
Yeah, right,
The
they
precipice of darkness. Oh my lord.
Cool. So are these more recent paintings then, or the ones that were in the show were a little bit earlier?
Yeah, the ones in the show were older,
Yeah.
you know. Because I kept saying, well, I have this, I have that. I
Yeah.
don't want- So, you know. Because, I also used to be a photographer, like
Oh, cool.
35 millimeter.
Oh yeah, those are beautiful.
And I used to do woodcut prints too, which I want to go back to.
Yeah, those look nice. It's the dogs again. Yeah, interesting. I guess too. Can I sit on this couch, or is this
sit in.
sweet?
I mean, sit on the table if you want. So, did you have any problem coming out or anything, or
No, not
finding
bad.
it?
No,
There was a little bit of traffic on the highway, but it wasn't bad.
or that nightmare Kelly Square area with the fucking death gauntlet
Yeah.
intersection. That was pretty fun. But yeah, we'd love to hear about like how. So, how did you get? So you lived here until you were 18 in Worcester.
Yeah.
How were those years? Because you told me a little bit about how you ended up in Boston and then New York. But how was it? How was it growing up here? What kind of kid were you?
Totally rebellious. Constantly in trouble. And very few friends.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, you know, Worcester's like a weird place.
Was it like really conservative,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
or it was at the time?
It was then. It still
Right.
is.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of the towns around here, they're all real conservative and
Gotcha.
stuff like that. But I just mostly kept to myself. I retreated into, you know, the artwork and stuff like that. And I was always interested in filmmaking, so I did that. You know, I just retreated into what became. You
Yeah.
know? So.
Did you go to art school?
Yeah, I went to Vesper George, which doesn't exist anymore. Orson Welles Film School in Cambridge, that doesn't exist anymore. And the Art Institute,
Nice.
which I don't know if it's still around.
That actually got bought by Leslie, which is where I went. That's kind of funny.
The Art Institute.
The Art Institute of Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah, they in like 2008 they got absorbed by Leslie University.
Oh,
So
really?
they're the same college. I went there too, sort of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I briefly attended art school for like a kind of scattered like 2.5 years, and then I fucking failed a bunch of shit and left.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was fun while it lasted. But it got pretty chaotic, I guess, because I basically had fucked up my whole situation financially, and I was in this horrible relationship, and I had a chronic illness that I wasn't correctly medicated for. So then I just blew up everything, and I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll just go be an artist somehow. And it was funny too, because I found myself being taken more seriously by the people I was meeting when I started acting like I was somebody who was past art school. Like, oh yeah, I don't go there anymore. You know what I mean? Like I felt like going before I was telling people that I was attending art school, and they would not, or like,
Oh, you're a student?
yeah. I went from student artist to artist
Yeah.
by failing out.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, after the first year, they told me there's really nothing more we can teach you. So they gave me a studio on the top floor,
Yeah.
and they said all we can do is just let you go, and check what I do and stuff like that. So that was nice.
That's a pretty cool situation, honestly.
Yeah, oh my God, it was really nice. It was me and one other person up there.
Wow.
And yeah, it was cool.
That was in Boston?
Yeah.
Nice. That's
I'm
really
trying
cool.
to remember. Oh, St. Botolph Street it used to be on.
Oh, wow, okay. So I feel like that's familiar. Where is that?
I have no fucking idea. Was it near Mount Auburn?
No, St. Botolph kind of borders the South End.
Yes,
Or
yeah.
maybe now is part of the South End. I
Gotcha.
don't know.
Yeah. I think that's kind of near Assemblage, actually. Or part of it is.
So in terms of like living here and before you went to art school, what do you think, like, were you just making art the whole time you were a kid?
Yeah.
Like constantly with a sketchbook and painting and shit?
Yes.
What brought you to that in the first place? Like, why not? Why didn't you play baseball? Or something?
First of all, because my parents wanted me to, so then that excluded.
Oh, they wanted you to do like some athletic shit or
Yeah, they wanted
be a regular kid.
Yeah, like the All-American boy.
Right.
Which,
Yeah.
What'd you say, like Hardy Boys? Or like,
I don't even know
Archie
if they knew
Andrews.
that.
Right.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, like Archie Andrews.
right.
My family was very conservative Italian, that very
Yeah.
Catholic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't go for that. But yeah, that's what I did. I mean, I just all the time, just retreated into that.
And I guess too, like, so you must have gone through high school and it probably sucked and you ended up graduating. So how is that, I guess, transition? Like, where you knew that you must have had your heart set on getting out of Worcester and going to the city.
Yes, like since I was 10, I couldn't wait to get out of it.
Right. So did you know about art school when you were younger?
I had no clue. I had no clue. I just knew that I wasn't staying here. And a friend of mine had moved to Boston, and he was from Worcester, and he, said, "Well, move here," and blah blah. So I did, and then I went to film school first, Orson Welles, then to art school,
Gotcha.
and then freedom from that too. And then I just painted and drawn and all that stuff. Then in Boston, I met my best friend that I used to make the movies with. And we used to collaborate on stuff. We had shows together. Then he moved to New York, and then like right after that, I did too. And we started doing, and that just came up out of the blue because we were, in the apartment one day, and he said to me, "You studied animation, you want to do animation?" And I was like, "Sure."
Okay.
So I mean, it just, everything just, there was no real,
Yeah.
in 6 months I'll do this, and then 3 months later, it just all evolved,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before you went to school and you found out that your friend was living in the city, were there like people that you knew in Worcester that like were there like older kids or people doing art that you knew about?
Yeah.
Or like kind of like, because like growing up like in the Catholic conservative with like parents that are probably trying to keep you within these certain lines, like what example did you have for rebellion? Like what, I guess I'm saying like just in your neighborhood and at school, I guess like, I don't know, because I feel like I grew up in a suburb outside of Boston too, and I think I didn't even know that you could like be weird or like even like do something else or like I just thought everyone right like. So I guess I'm like, how did you? Was there people that you met while you were still living here that?
Yeah, the friends that I had gone all the way through school with.
What type of people were they?
They were mostly musicians. One still is. He still has a good band going. So we would hang out together, and they would ask me to draw stuff for them.
Oh, for like their band, like flyers and shit, or like album art.
Yeah, you know. So I would do that, but I mean, I just kept doing my own stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's up to he's talking about him, about not going to no place that you don't belong there, you have your shoes, you have conflicts, no? That's describing you. I mean, you first starting and everything, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, from school days to now.
I hated school. Hated school from day one, kindergarten. Really.
Was it because of the other students or because of the school itself and the teachers?
All of it.
You just fucking hated everybody. Fuck this place.
Yeah, and the teachers back then, I mean, they were really mean. You know what I mean? Like, I'm dyslexic, and I'm left-handed. So, on the Catholic side, that was a thing from the devil. You know?
Being left-handed?
Yes. And then, being dyslexic, back then, their answer to anything was, you know, we'll repeat another year.
Yeah.
So I did that 2 times.
He's very smart. That's the problem. He's extremely very smart. That person on top of the game, it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, that's another thing. They couldn't handle really smart kids.
Right.
You know?
They probably wanted like obedient kids.
Yes, they did. And so I would correct the teachers sometimes.
Was it Catholic school or was it public?
No, it was public.
It was public school.
Might as well have been.
You might as well have been Catholic school, right?
But then, you know, you went to catechism and all that other religious stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, like your parent, like you were in like a Sunday school or something, or attending mass.
Yeah, you used to have to go to like religious class, like I don't know, 2-3 nights a week or something.
Yeah.
So I hung out with the people I was just talking about, the bands. So they were good, you know. We all retreated into each other.
Was there a hangout spot or like a club or a bar or something that people would congregate at, or?
Well, we weren't old enough to go to, you know, so we would just hang out at each other's houses, or preferably somebody whose parents weren't home, you know. But for me, I was just, I'm still that way, just constantly drawing and, you know, painting. And, my family didn't think I was talented at all. They didn't like any of my stuff. Well, my sister that passed away, she did. She was cool.
She was supportive?
Yeah. And she was a lot of fun. And she helped lead me astray, so that, you know.
Right. Was that like with like partying or like turning you on to new music or something?
Yeah.
All of that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
I started getting into like punk stuff and like alternative music and stuff because of my older sisters. When I was like 10 or 11, I would take their CDs and want to like dress like the guys in the bands they listened to and stuff.
Yeah.
So it started out that way, but yeah, it's funny. So after you finally got out of Worcester and you landed in Boston first.
Yeah.
So what, and you're 18.
On Charles Street, I lived with a friend. Yeah.
What were those first few months like being out of Worcester? Like, was it like a kind of a culture shock?
No, it was hallelujah.
Oh yeah, it was like fucking amazing.
Yes.
So what kind of shit were you getting up to in the beginning?
In Boston?
Yeah, like when you first got into school and stuff, and you're on your own.
At first, let me see. At first, I was already kind of familiar with Boston anyway. But at first, exploring it, and my roommate, who was 10 years older than us, he, you know, showed us all the spots, where, you know. So we did that, and then I'm trying to even remember.
And was this the 70s or the 80s?
Yeah, the 70s.
70s?
It was like, oh my God, 50 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, actually more. 1971, I think.
That's when you were first in school.
Yeah. Yeah, that I moved to Boston. So I mean, I don't know. I just was always like, well, let's see what happens, and and then little things popped up,
Yeah.
little opportunities and things like that.
Like gallery shows
So yeah,
or something.
Yeah, my friend Steven, who's up there.
Oh, in one of your photographs.
Yeah.
Not a great person too. We
Steven?
lost to him in 2015, right? Well,
Oh, no.
2005?
2005.
5, yeah.
And he was one of your peers from back then?
Yeah. Yes, and we were like really close. I mean, we weren't boyfriends or anything, but well, look, he used to tell me, I'm closer to you than I am my own brothers. And so, I keep looking at his picture up there.
Is he this one right here with the mustache?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just,
Yeah. And
great person.
when we met, that was really like, an explosion kind of thing.
What kind of guy was he?
Oh,
Like, was he like wild and crazy,
Yes.
electric?
Yeah. He used to have the band that, I don't know if the Real Kids.
I'm not sure. I might not have heard of them.
Yeah, they were a 70s punk band. And he used to, I think he started that, I don't know, it was part of it. But then once we met, we just decided to collaborate all the time, which we did right up until his death. Yeah, so he, there was a certain kind of people that were around then. I don't know what it's like today, but people were a lot more open, a lot more fun. They weren't like so uptight over everything like people are today.
Yeah.
So he was fun. I mean, and we had a show at the Bromfield Gallery.
There's a nice picture of Steven. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
From those days, yes. New
That's
York,
cool.
working together in New York.
Thank you for showing us this.
Yeah.
So, how do you open in, I guess, what way? Like, people who, do you feel like there was just more fuck it going around? Like, more just kind of like, let's do it energy?
Yeah, more willingness to do things that if it had roadblocks, people were kind of like, so what?
Yeah.
Not like today where everybody is overly sensitive and everybody's looking for something to be offended by. Yeah, so it was different. And Stephen and I had a show at the Bromfield Gallery. He showed black and white photographs, I showed woodcuts. And that was really good. But the party got wild and the gallery got trashed.
Oh, man, how? Like, was it like busted windows
Yes.
Oh my
people
God.
drawn on the walls, or
No, that didn't happen, but the busted windows. And
how did the window get smashed? Did a rock go through it, or a fist, or?
I think opening champagne bottles.
Oh, gotcha.
So
And the corks hit the windows and just cracked them
So there
all.
must have been a reason to celebrate. Was there tons of people there and
Yeah,
everyone
and-
going crazy and
Yes, and we had spiked punch and, so it got really wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what happened after the gallery was trashed? How did like the curators or the owners handle it? Did they have a meltdown?
They wanted their money
Right, gotcha.
and told us we would never, ever be exhibiting there again.
Right.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
Is that gallery still around? I wonder. What's it called? It's called Bromfield.
Bromfield Gallery is still around.
It's still there.
Yeah, it looks totally different. I only happened to see a photograph of it one time.
And it was in Boston.
Boston,
Okay, gotcha.
right off Tremont
Okay.
on Bromfield Street.
Oh, gotcha.
Interesting. It would
That
probably be
leads
funny
up
to. I wonder if the people who were running it at the time you were there are still around, or if it.
I thought of that too.
Really, imagine.
Do another show there.
It'd be funny to see what they may, if they remember that or what they think about it now.
You're just still on some list somewhere.
Yeah, really.
Like, I wonder if you're still blacklisted.
You're
Yeah.
still always.
So no, did anyone ever pay for the window?
No.
Wow.
Once we were blacklisted, right?
Yeah, it's like fuck it, right? That must have been their mistake. Maybe if they didn't blacklist you, they would have got their money.
Well, if we can't come back, then we're not paying. Yeah, so it was hard to get any shows after that. And then Stephen moved to New York. But then that's when I met Dwayne.
Oh yeah.
So
What was Dwayne like at the time?
a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was like a crazy guy.
Yeah, yeah. And always open to new people.
Yeah.
So I met Dwayne and I started seeing things around Boston with what was then their logo.
Like graffiti or posters or something?
Yeah, and little stickers
Yeah.
everywhere. But it never gave an address. It just said Gallery East.
Right.
And I was like, where is this? So finally I found it and rang the bell and Dwayne came out. And
What did he look like? Was he like tall, black hair?
kind of like, he's up there
right
too.
there.
Oh, is he?
Really?
I can't even see which one he would be.
He's that one and he's that one.
Oh, really?
Oh, no way.
Okay, I could see it. That's funny.
So that kind of tells you.
Right. Interesting. So, he was like the guy, like everyone associated him with Gallery East.
Yeah.
So, did he have like a reputation for like he's the guy doing the art shows, or the whatever?
Yeah, and he had kind of a reputation as a ball buster to the other galleries. So
Really?
I was
Like
yes.
Right. Interesting.
So we clicked immediately, right away. I mean, we've been friends now for like 43 years or something
Wow.
like that.
That's cool.
But I mean, no, he was always open to whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know? So that was good. And I had like 2 shows there.
So how do you mean like ball buster to the other galleries? Do you mean like he would?
The more established galleries didn't like Gallery East. And city council and those galleries were constantly pushing against,
Right, like trying to
Gallery
interfering or fucking with it.
try
or,
to get it closed down and said it was a glorified nightclub and things like that, which was cool. 'Cause,
So what? So in the beginning, in those days, it was like a physical location.
Yeah.
So was it was like a warehouse, or like was it like a loft space?
No, it was, I'm trying to remember what the building used to be. It was a ground space that had a stage, and I remember it was kind of large. It went back, like had deep rooms.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the original building was for. But it really was cool, because he had bands there and stuff like that. And
I wonder what the rent was at that time for a commercial space in the
Yeah.
middle of Boston.
yeah, right across the street from South Station.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Holy shit. Now something like that would cost like your firstborn child.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
if you wanted to rent something like that, but
yeah.
wow, that's fucking crazy. So the
It
first
was great.
Yeah.
and the first shows you went to there, what was the culture like, or like what kind of people did you see around at the Gallery East?
More the avant-garde punk kind of crowd.
Like younger people or all age, younger, older?
Yeah, yeah, it was mixed. But I mean, we were in our 20s then too, so everybody else was,
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember, there were some older people there, I don't know, I mostly hung out with Dwayne and Al Ford.
He was a photographer, right? Or is he a painter?
Yeah, he was a painter.
Okay, I might have mixed him up. Oh, I was
You're
thinking...
thinking of Phil and Flash.
That's right. Was he also among this community?
Yeah.
It's so funny because these are artists that I know Dwayne has showed and had a lot of success putting him in shows like as from when I've known him. You know what I mean? Which is obviously a very short period of time. But it's kind of interesting to learning your story, and we recorded with him too, and like kind of putting it together. It seems like there's been a group of 5 or 10 or whatever people that you guys have all known each other since back then. Yeah. And you're all still very tight knit.
Yeah.
Do you?
I mostly just stay in touch with Dwayne. He'll fill me in on other people.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, so you said you moved to New York shortly after that?
Yeah.
And so you met Dwayne around maybe when you were 19 or 20?
Maybe 25 or something
Gotcha.
like that.
And you found yourself in New York around the same time?
Yeah, shortly after, maybe a couple of years.
What brought you there? Why did you want to go to New York City?
Because Steven suggested we make movies.
Right. And that was the place to do it?
Yeah.
So what are your feelings about New York City and like Greenwich Village and Taxi Driver and like this like modern view of like this gritty old New York that people have, where it's very romanticized, and people talk about the time before Rudy Giuliani like it was the best time in the world in New York City.
Under Koch, it was a lot of fun.
that was the previous mayor before him.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel like? A lot of the reputation or that mystique, that mystery and lionization of the old New York, do you feel like that was your experience?
Kind of. When it was really, I can see why they romanticize it, because it in retrospect, it is kind of. Now that you're not living it anymore, it becomes more romantic.
Sure. Oh, do you feel like it was like fucked up while you were there?
Oh yeah.
So
we all were.
Like people getting mugged and doing drugs and.
We used to live on the Lower East Side before it was fashionable and.
Right, but it was like bohemian at the time, in a literal sense, not in like the fashionable sense.
Yeah.
Like it was like okay.
Where the drug dealers used to shoot the street lights out,
right,
and stuff like that, and so we mostly stayed on the Lower East Side too. We didn't often go above 14th Street, or over to the West Village and that. Sometimes, you know, but mostly we hung out on places on 2nd Ave or. The Bowery and stuff like that, which is now all fashionable. And, so I think that lost that charm. I remember somebody in New York told me you couldn't afford coffee in the neighborhood where you used to live.
Well, that's the thing about spaces like that, is I feel like they're affordable and artists go there because of things that people running the city don't like crime and the fact that it is affordable in the first place. Like gentrifying it makes the city worth more money, which means those spaces are so ephemeral. Yeah. Which
and then
all of Boston right now.
And then a lot of the Lower East Side people moved to Williamsburg. Yeah. And then the same thing happened all over again. Yeah. So then they all got kicked out of Williamsburg because they couldn't afford it. Yeah. So, but by that time, I had had enough.
So were you actually just living there because it was just the cheapest place to live and all your buddies were there? Or did you feel like at the time like you were in some you were where the culture was happening?
Oh, I was definitely where the culture was happening, yeah.
In terms of like art shows and stuff, and like you were showing your art there as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Back then, there was a lot of galleries that would, kind of guerrilla galleries, they would be there for a little bit, and then all of a sudden the next, they're gone.
Get obliterated somehow or shut down.
Yes.
So, and were you mostly screening animation or showing your printmaking or the photography, or like were you making the kind of paintings you're doing right now back then as well?
Those were the beginnings of the kind of, I mean, I had been doing those anyway in Boston. But in New York, those were the beginnings of the, got bolder. And my artwork is mostly autobiographical in different senses. Things I've done or seen or, heard or whatever. It's most of them are based in some kind of real situation.
Do you feel like a lot of those it's like kind of revolving around more of a like a pathos, like a kind of sadness to them with the figurative works and some of the darker ones? Like, do you feel like it's a kind of sad remembering, or do you?
No, I think it's just. That's it.
Just very, just clinical. Just like that's what you did.
I interpreted it, and that's what stuck with me.
So and the significance of the, or like these men with the mustaches, and some of them look real beat up, or are those? And like we've talked about this. So you're painting Italian men. Is that true, or?
Yeah.
Or just, okay, like, do you, I guess, like, a lot of those...
Or any man, I guess.
Right, gotcha. Like, do you feel like these are, like, I guess, do you, like, I'm trying to, I feel like I'm asking this so stupidly, but I'm trying to figure out, like, is there...
Stupid, too.
Gotcha. I'm trying to, like, I'm interested in knowing if you feel like the way you're drawing these faces, or if these men in particular have, like, a certain feeling to them. Like, is this a character? Or do you feel like you draw the faces very similarly, just stylistically?
Sometimes I draw close to what the actual person looks like, but I do abstract them somewhat, Or sometimes I just
invent a face. Yeah, I do that too a lot. I draw faces out of just a synthesized face way more.
Yeah.
Then I'm drawing an actual person from reference.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it makes me better at drawing when I use references sometimes. But like it makes the fake faces better.
Yeah.
When I occasionally draw from life.
Yeah. No.
But it's a pain in the ass to do that. So I feel like every time I draw from life it looks like shit. And then I take the tricks I learned from doing that and draw better stuff.
It's like an exercise kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like using references, but I feel like in my own sketchbook, I always draw the same person. They always look the same. I was curious too, though, because you were saying that around that time, like when you moved to New York, is when you were making movies at that point. And Dwayne was telling us a little bit about that too. But could you talk to us about what were some projects you were working on, or what did those look like, or how did they come out?
The films.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. I told you I'm stupid.
That's okay. Well, maybe how many films did you end up making? Was it a lot of them?
Well, we ended up making 6, but only 5 got released.
So what were those films about?
All different that. Well, the first real one that got released was called Desperate for Heat. And we wrote what that was about. I wish I could. It was mostly about isolation, alienation.
Yeah.
And, actually that's what they're all about.
Yeah.
Now that I think of it.
Cool.
Yeah. Desperate for Heat was, yes, it dealt also with the suicide of a friend up there, that girl Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Oh, she passed away.
Yeah.
Was that when you were younger?
Yeah. She ended up killing herself, and that found its way into that film, Desperate for Heat. Then we made an abstracted version of a German painter, E.L. Kirshner.
I know the last name.
Yeah, so we made like an abstracted version of the last few hours of his life or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, inspired by the feelings of your friend, of losing your friend.
Well, we kind of followed a loose narrative of the actual artist's life, and he killed himself because the Nazis were coming to, arrest him.
Yeah.
So he burned a lot of his stuff.
And he just said, fuck it, you can't take me.
Yeah, and shot himself. Wow. And then there's an all-animated one called Laser Wolves Make Contact. That's really short because we ran out of time and money. So we had to basically cut it in half. And then the New Dark Ages, which is the one Dwayne had online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which was basically about AIDS at that time.
Yeah.
And, other political things happening and stuff like that.
Were you living in New York during the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic?
Yeah, yes.
And I'm assuming that was a fucking horrible time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when, things started getting really strange. The first time I remember seeing somebody with AIDS was because there was a big crowd of people, like a big circle, a big crowd of people, and I was wondering what they were looking at. When I went over, they had encircled this poor guy with AIDS that had those big purple tumors and things
oh my
like
God.
that.
Wow.
And he was like real skinny. I mean, he looked, like death on 2 feet. And I was like, oh my God, this. And people were yelling at him. And I mean, it was really.
Sounds traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Did you know that man?
No. No. And then I was in some place. Oh, I had a delivery job. So I was delivering to some health center when they informed this guy that he had AIDS. And he just freaked out. He just, let out this big wail,
And you just happened to be there witnessing it?
Yeah. Yes. It was so weird. I mean, because it was the first time I ever saw humans be turning ugly like they are now. But it was a thing of hate and fear, and people would attack them on the street and things like that, and don't let your blood touch me and things like this.
So it probably wasn't even just a fear of death. It was probably a fear of being alienated and like hate crimed for having a disease or a condition that you didn't choose.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
So that was like the kind of beginning days of the stigma.
Yeah.
Of HIV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories from a lot of people that are just, through media or books or other podcasts and stuff, and it sounds like it was literally like the worst fucking possible experience for everybody, like people losing dear friends, lovers, people in their families,
Well, after a while, that was another reason. I was like, oh, I've had it with this.
Yeah.
And we were making enough money on the films that I didn't have to be there anymore.
In New York City.
Yeah. So I could do the animation here and then just go down for when we were shooting and stuff like that. Steven stayed there. He stayed till he died there. Not of AIDS. He died in 2005. Because he committed suicide too.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were among people like do you feel like the lifestyles you guys were living were like kind of like did you feel an existential threat that was leading to the kind of chaos? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people, like we were talking about earlier, there was the romanticizing of those times and that time period. Do you feel like people forget or not really actually acknowledge the fact that a lot of, you know, the poverty or the drugs or the partying or the reckless abandon was because, not just because you guys were such fun people, but because there was this looming, like death just in the air, like this black cloud?
Yes, because that led to this thing at the time, or later, a little bit later, where people were embrace your virus, which they thought it was a political game.
To promote embracing
To become HIV.
Okay.
They went out of their way. It was like some fucked up political statement, I guess.
Right. Huh. Probably.
But it was turning into that. It was turning into like, who gives a shit?
Right, because they were probably like, if everybody I know and care about has it, fuck it. And there was probably a lot of the attitude of like, I'm not gonna live till I'm 30 anyway. Yeah. So fuck it. I might as well just not be afraid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand it, but you know.
Yeah, it seems pretty self-destructive.
Yeah, and you know, I had seen plenty of that by that time. But then I moved back here and was still going back and forth to New York, and we were gonna
for screenings.
Shoot. What?
For screenings?
Yeah. I would go for those, and I was gonna actually move back to New York. Then I met Doug.
35 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
This June.
Yeah.
Next month.
That's incredible.
35 years.
And we've been best friends. And then I was like, well, I know he's not crazy about being here, but he does want to go to New York.
Gotcha.
And
New York for
fuck
me.
New York, yeah.
I like the country living,
right.
Small town.
Yeah.
Because I'm from Brazil originally.
Brazil?
And I live near Rio de Janeiro, and it's tough life there.
And you do
outside Rio, the Petropolis, it's like
was it rural? Is it like rural area or an urban area outside of Rio de Janeiro?
No, Petropolis, it's like a historic city. It used to be like the capital of 200 years ago, Brazil.
Yeah.
And about 55 miles outside Rio, up in the mountains, the city of Petropolis, is a beautiful place. And I went to school there, but before that, I went to school in I would say 4 hours out on a flight outside of Rio, Vitória, Espírito Santo. That's how I started my life there, Espírito Santo State. From there to Rio, from Rio to the northeast part of Brazil. And I arrived here in 1982 at Atlantean College in South Lancaster with a student visa in 1982, which is 40 years ago. It's February that I arrived here. And 5 years later, I met him in 87.
Oh, wow. Did you also study art?
No, more into music.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've seen the Unitarian Church.
Yeah.
Unitarian Church?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sing their choir.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We stopped for 2 years because of COVID, but
I'm
trying to go back little by little.
How was the, you two were quarantined together here?
Yes.
Yeah. How was that? Were you guys fucking locked down?
You know, like I said, we're not like lovers or boyfriends, anything. I mean, we're just really, I don't know, two people that found each other.
Homies.
You just love each other. It's a different kind of love, but it's more, we protect each other from outsiders.
Yeah.
More like that. And,
because he's the same. in a way, he's the same as me.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, kind of a loner and
Introverted.
yeah, and neither one of us had that many friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind
I
of
didn't
found
have
each
any.
other.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so, you know, we met and just became
and I grew up
real
with
good
Italians
friends.
in Brazil too. I mean, my mother used to cook for this Italian restaurant there in the late 50s.
Yeah.
And the city that I came from, Colatina, it's Italian. It's an Italian city in Brazil, immigrants. And I grew up with Italians. When I met him and the family in '87, it was very easy because I already knew them from the culture
Right.
from years
Familiar
ago.
with the
My
cuisine.
family
Yes.
adopted him. They're
And
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the only friends that they ever liked.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I never had a problem with these people ever. I don't know. Never. We loved each other from the beginning.
That's
the whole
nice.
family. Never. Right? No? Never.
I had problems with them.
And it is, yes. But I
We did.
kind of,
Yeah.
Oh.
and became good friends, and no.
Yeah, and then, you know, things just, you know, the screenings, to go down for the screenings, those were fun. And those got really wild eventually, too. But, you know.
So so it was in the late '80s that you ended up back in Worcester then.
Yeah.
So I guess what did your art situation look like then? Like, so you come back and like you're kind of out of the kind of chaos of New York and settling into Worcester into the '90s.
We were still up until '95. We
Mm-hmm.
were still making films. And then that kind of, I don't remember what happened. But yeah, up until then we were still making, you know, 95. So I was still going back and forth and all that. And I forgot what you asked me.
Oh, I don't remember either.
Oh, cool.
I was also wondering, were these all like feature-length films?
No, all shorts.
How long would it take to make a project like that if you were animating the whole thing?
That and what kind of animation is it?
Like cell animation. One, you know, like you just saw the Looney Tune things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was that kind of animation. One drawing after another after another.
So that must
You
have taken
know,
a long
no-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then by the end of it, I was like, oh my God. After years of living with these little images, it just started getting,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah, so,
So was it like a matter of like months and months on like
Yeah.
one short?
yes.
Huh. And so in terms of animation, did you have to think about like the frames per second?
Yeah.
Because like now a lot of people do digitally and they kind of can almost like automate
Yeah.
the FPS as it would be called. So were you animating in 12 FPS or 24?
24.
24 all hand drawn. And what kind of medium were you using drawing them? Was it like paint or just
Yeah,
some
yeah,
kind
like regular cell vinyl paint. They used to,
So it was a special medium meant for the vinyl.
yeah.
And how would, like, I'm curious because I'm only vaguely familiar with the digital process. So, and you guys were working all analog.
Yeah.
It was all tape. So how did that work getting these vinyl hand-drawn frames onto tape?
Well, we shot everything on film and then transferred them to tape. We shot
Crazy.
everything on regular 16 millimeter film,
Right.
frame by frame. The old way they used to do it, the way we had to do it, because there was none of what's around today.
Digital
back
shit.
then.
And,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, you shoot one frame, change the thing, shoot another frame, change the cell.
And there was like that's actually an interesting point, because would that mean that like even a film camera filming like live action, would that be shooting at 24 24 FPS as well? Is that how fucking?
Yeah.
Is that how camera works?
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting. Yeah, that's fucking crazy to me. If you put a gun to my head and I had to make like an analog film or like animate in that way, I would die. Like I would have no idea how to use anything.
Well, same with me for the modern stuff.
Really? Like digital stuff?
Yeah. Plus, I have no interest in it. But
Right.
But I wouldn't know. If somebody sat me down and said, "Make a film,"
Right. Holy shit! Yeah.
I'd be like, "Yeah, that's exactly it." I'd be like, "Holy shit!"
Right. Were the materials to do that stuff expensive at the time, like the film and like?
Yes.
So I think I just realized also the frame that we were looking at in there, where it was 2 different layers. When you're saying the vinyl, would you paint or draw the background and then put a vinyl sheet on top so you could have it move with the background static?
Usually the figure is just moving in one space, but I don't know how they do it now. But back then it's the backgrounds that would move.
Oh, gotcha.
So it looks like the figure, but really,
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, mostly our backgrounds were mostly static because they were so quick.
Yeah.
That's
really cool. Like, that's a completely different way of thinking about it. I haven't really even done any digital animation, but I didn't even... When I was looking at that, I was like, oh, that's interesting that it's raised, but that completely makes sense functionality-wise.
Yeah, I've only done like haphazard claymation and stop motion.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very good, but it was fun. So,
wow.
Interesting. And what were the early 2000s like for you? Like, what did your life look like? I guess, like, where were you on 9/11? Sorry.
safely here.
Right, in Worcester.
Yeah.
So
shocked as anything. I couldn't. You
Yeah.
know, because I had been up in those towers. There used to be a club long time ago at the top.
Right.
There were restaurants and stuff up there too.
Wow.
So that just, totally just
absolutely
blew me away.
fucked, yeah.
Especially when you saw people jumping and when you saw the thing just disintegrate. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Yeah.
I'm sorry to be trying to
that's
pull
okay.
your life story out of you little teeny bit by bit. No,
that's okay. I mean, because I just don't think about, a lot of that anymore.
like the past.
Yeah.
Like all that shit.
I'm an Aries, we go forward.
Gotcha. Interesting.
No, I mean, ask anything because,
Do you feel confident in what you know about like your knowledge and experience with artworks? Because we talk to so many people, like a lot of the people we interview are younger or maybe have only been trying to do art professionally for a few years.
Yeah.
But as somebody with so much fucking experience, do you feel like you know what you're doing?
Yes. If I didn't at this point, I would.
I'm trying to show those cameras from those days. Maybe
Oh, cool.
No, they're young
That's
now,
still
Right,
camera,
yeah.
not a movie camera.
Right.
but it's pretty much old stuff. But
Right.
Wow.
and yeah.
Is this the camera that you use? Is it still functional?
No, it wasn't yours. I was going to give it to him, but he never. No. But that's pretty much what for those days. That's
Oh, cool.
now.
Cinematic.
Thank you for showing us.
Talk
this.
about 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Something else. Yeah, that's life 40 years ago. No,
Yeah.
Right.
50 years ago. That was
Crazy.
Yeah. We do everything on that now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is there, easy and simple, and better.
Sometimes.
See, I like to do that, the regular 35 millimeter
Well, there is like a beauty to these photographs that you just can't get with a lot of newer mediums.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who shoot digital do wonderful stuff and they're Photoshop wizards and stuff, but there is like a magic to the 35 millimeter that is not existent in other types of photography. That is 100% true. But in terms
in this photo right here, painting,
what?
Is that you in this photo right here?
Oh yeah, that's in New York.
That's cool. That's a nice shot.
And I sold that painting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
that was the first painting I sold in New York. Actually.
Did you sell a lot during your earlier years?
Not too early, but I sold more than I thought I would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Over the years.
Do you ever wonder where those paintings you sold so long ago ended up?
Yes.
I think about that sometimes, even just something I sold a few years ago where I'm just like, I wonder if that person like fucking donated it to Savers or threw it away or what happened to it.
Yeah.
Just floating around in the ether.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And a whole bunch of my stuff, when we were living in New York, we got broken into, and a whole bunch of paintings were stolen.
The burglars took your paintings.
Yes.
What the fuck do you think they wanted with them? They just thought maybe they were worth a bunch of money, so we just take these things?
I don't know. Then I wondered if it was somebody we knew.
Yeah.
Oh,
that sucks.
Who wanted paintings, but, they wanted them for free.
Yeah.
Right. They thought, yeah, fuck it, you won't miss them.
Yeah. Well.
That's interesting.
So in terms of like confidence and like knowledge and experience, I only ask that because like so many people who are my peers or people I grew up with or in the same generation as me, a lot of people just have no fucking idea what they're doing and are just kind of bumbling and pretending to be to figure it out.
Through.
Yeah.
It is. It's all the way through. You meet some of the most pretentious, blah blah people at these art openings and things like that, or they want to relate to you. And,
Yeah.
like somebody at the show we had.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody talking to me, and they weren't listening to anything I was saying.
Yeah.
Just kept trying to ask like in-depth questions. You know what I mean? Which I thought was stupid. And when she said, "Well, what do people call you?" And I said, "Walter." And she said, "No, but I mean, what do they call you?"
What was she looking
Like,
for?
I don't know. I told her, I don't know, idiot.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, and please,
Yeah.
We
were talking about that last night. We did another interview with an artist in Plymouth, and we were talking about whether it gets easier the longer you're in the art world to see people that are just in it for their own benefit or don't really care about what you're saying. And they were saying it's when the person isn't listening to a word coming out of your mouth. But it's funny. There's a lot of them.
Yes. Yeah, there are. And I'm glad I don't have to, when you're younger and all that, yes. You do that.
Yeah.
But then after a while, and I'm glad I'm at the point I don't have to.
Yeah.
I can tell people my name is idiot or something like that. Because it doesn't matter to me, no matter what, I'll be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it stays here or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be doing it anyway, or will always be doing it.
Yeah.
So.
I have the phone number for Leo's Pizza. Maybe if you call, can you get the food?
All right, well, let me know when you're hungry.
You guys want?
Yeah, sure. We'll eat whenever.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Would you call about? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they want to eat yet.
Oh,
No, when,
all right.
when they're ready, I'll call.
Oh, okay. Kinda, no, because I still have to make it. All right. Just let us know. Okay.
Yeah, no, whatever you guys want to. I'm fine.
Yeah, so now they're going to say, okay, now I want to eat.
Yeah. I'm still concerned about maybe you guys came from far away. No, far
Oh
away.
no, we
Oh,
appreciate it
okay.
so much. It really isn't that bad of a drive.
Yeah.
The drive home, on the other hand, I suspect could be traffic bound, but who gives
That's
a fuck?
okay. We're just gonna go
It's
home
okay.
and watch TV anyway.
Right? I like coming to Worcester anyway. It's
Yeah.
been a little while. So
Have you ever been here before?
yeah. So
Really?
yeah, I used to, like, years ago, I used to know a lot of people that did like house shows and music stuff around Worcester. Like a few, like for some reason, I used to know a lot of people that were in these like anarchist co-ops in Worcester.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know a lot of those people anymore, but in like 2014 or 13 or 2012, not 2012, 2013 or 14, I used to know a lot of those people, so I'd come out here a lot.
Yeah.
But not so much anymore. I lost all of my connections.
Were they over by Webster Square? Or
Honestly, I have no clue. I think there was one that I always think about where it was an anarchist collective that had been living in the same house for like a long amount of years. They were called the fuck was it? The Collective Go-Go Collective or the Collective Go-Go or something. I don't know. It was like this big group of people, and they didn't pay for heat or like anything. They just had like a wood stove, and it's very weird. It was cool. They were really nice people, but it was very bizarre. But yeah, so
There's a couple of our anarchist commune houses in Somerville. I lived in one for a little while, and it's weird because it's so expensive over there, and the context of the entire rest of everybody's life, like everybody has like an office job or something, but they're all splitting rent equitably. So it's like sort of an anarchist commune, but it's just kind of a normal house where everyone stacks the rent.
yeah.
Like actually going full restructure, just like wood stove only is, I feel like you don't see that in Boston at all.
Yeah. Anyway.
Nobody probably let you do that in Boston
How
right now.
you guys are handling the pressure from this? Because I heard there's a lot of pressure in your age.
Yeah.
Oh, like financially?
Everything. It must be under a lot of pressure for you guys.
I moved in with my mom, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
me too. But yeah, no, everything is
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to these days. It's terrible.
nothing can be purchased.
Well, the
like
thing is, if you
property
don't-
rentals or
Yeah.
the rental
Yeah.
market's absolutely fucked. I feel really fortunate to be able that I have family that actually that
Yeah.
I have a good relationship with.
Because
So-
the thing is, I was living in Boston for like 3.5 years before the pandemic, and when you're there, you can do it, but you're putting yourself in debt, especially if you're still in school. So in order to be able to have a financial future, I figured it'd be better to move home now. I just drive, I guess.
Yeah.
My family lives about an hour south of Boston, so it's not that bad. I just drive in. I work in Boston every day, so I'm still there all the time. But, yeah.
What town are they from?
Plymouth. That's where I grew up, too. Yeah. Yeah.
Rockland for me,
Rockland.
if you're familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
closer. It's not.
Yeah, it's really like, I don't know. I think I didn't didn't get a college degree or a trade. And I'm going to be 27 in the fall, and I didn't really. It's funny because I feel like I know a lot of people, or some of my siblings, like learned like, concrete things that they can like support themselves with, but I had a kind of nihilistic outlook for that time where people are going to school and stuff. So I didn't do any of that, and I just put everything onto art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Which I'm still doing. I'm fucking like, I just like, I don't know. It's like what you said. I'm going to be doing art literally no matter what. Like even it's just something I can't not do. It's like,
Right.
but right now me and Theo relate with this kind of thing where it's sink or swim. It's just fucking, I'm not going to be like, I was kind of on a path to be doing social work kind of stuff. Like I was working with people in addiction treatment or people in like mental health places and stuff. And that became kind of a passion and interest for me or something that I thought I was good at. But I ended up ultimately realizing that is a terrible path for me to go down because it's just not, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's mentally fucked up and not really good. I don't know. But
Well, I imagine it would be something very draining
yeah, it's
after a while.
yeah, especially the population that I was working with at the time too, because I was working with adolescents, and that was absolutely fucking horrible because I was not capable of helping anybody. I did not have any of the correct knowledge or information. I was just some bozo.
You were also like 20.
I was 20 or
older
21. I should have been a patient probably, but
I just thought of that.
yeah. So, and then after that, I was working with adult men that some of them were dealing with homelessness or drug addiction, or were like in and out of, or like there was a part of the program was also people transitioning out of prison or getting out of like prison sentences, and then they go to this place where I worked, where they would learn how to be back, being citizens.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that I was massively unprepared to be doing. It was almost traumatizing sometimes, but I felt heart set on working in that type of place. And then eventually I just was like, I'm going to literally kill myself if I continue doing this,
Yeah.
So I'm either going to support myself fully with just art or doing some random media shit like this, just recording conversations with people. Because it's not like, I'm either going to do that or I'm going to fucking die. And I've accepted that's...
too young to die.
Right, I agree. I do not want to die. I have no desire to die. I don't have a nihilistic outlook anymore. But I did, But I don't know. It's like... I don't know. It just is what it is. And it's like, I think that what we're doing with the recordings and stuff too, like I think that we don't have like hundreds and thousands of people listening, but we have a pretty steady core group of people that listen to everything we put out, And
It's so
like,
cool. I love that. I'm shocked by it every time I think about it.
it's a documenting process, but it's also...
But you don't know what's coming.
I don't.
And what you're doing now, 5 or 10 years, could be very valuable to institutions or something that, having a record of artists and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because someday somebody is going to want all that as a documentation.
Yeah. I agree. That is a big reason why it's like so fun and why it's so gratifying to do. It's because like I like to think it kind of helps me feel better that there's the possibility that the audience or the people that care about what I'm doing or what we're doing with the podcast don't exist yet or may not be born. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The listener might not be born yet at time of recording.
You learn to appreciate life after that because it was tough for me. Believe me, at the age of 6, 7, I didn't understand what's going on. I started that process of sexual molestation very young.
Oh.
And then came the late 60s with nowhere to go and living with neighbors. I didn't get along with my stepfather. Ended up in a private school in Brazil.
Yeah.
And I was there at least for 12 years, trying to find my way to a better life. It was very hard. And in 1982, I applied for a visa and a student visa here in the United States, and I got the opportunity to come here and start school here in South Lancaster. And this new horizon opened for me. It's a beautiful life. Then it was very hard in the beginning, very, very hard. That's why I still have issues. Like I have problem to belong. It looks like I belong nowhere. I still have those issues from time to time. But I learned a lot. And I'm a very happy person.
Yeah.
Thank God I never done drugs or alcohol. I was able to focus on school and learning, and it paid off. Paid off.
And that's how different we are.
It paid off. And it did, And I'm a very happy person, very happy. Kind of isolated, but happy.
Yeah.
Very happy human being. Very happy.
Sometimes
I relate.
Annoyingly happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
It's like, oh, good.
Optimism.
Yeah, but it was very hard. It wasn't easy years ago.
Yeah.
learned.
But I used to, you said nihilistic. Yeah, I used to be like that too. In some ways I still am, only, you know, at this point I'm not going to kill myself. Or, you know. I was never, I don't know. I was never that desperate or lost,
Yeah.
you know. I figured the longer I survived, the more it pissed people off. So,
Yeah.
so there's your motivation.
Yeah, right. Spiteful survival.
Yes.
Right. Do you feel like do you feel like that kind of, so I guess growing up and having a nihilistic, angry perspective, like when do you feel like that's something that you had to fight against in order to continue with your life, or do you feel like it's something, like it wasn't so much as a battle, but it was something that faded? Like, do you feel like you just gradually kind of found peace?
Yeah.
Or do you feel...
Yes. And I guess that's from getting older. I don't know.
Did you think that you would get older? Like, or did you kind of have that kind of outlook, like, fuck it, I'm going to just go till the wheels fall off?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. I'm still that way.
Right, yeah, but you're holding up. Right?
Yeah, so far.
Right, yeah, knock on wood, absolutely.
I forgot to answer. You asked about the early 2000s. I got very sick. I spent, I had all sorts of, I had to have like 3 major operations all at once.
Whoa.
Wow.
But they had to, you know. So I spent like, what was it, like 12 years or something, basically in bed.
Oh my gosh.
Long enough to recover from one surgery to go get the next one,
Wow.
and you know, stuff like that.
12 years, that's crazy.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
So you were pretty much out of commission for that time then?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay. I mean, you need the bathroom.
Oh, no, all right. Yeah, holy shit. So by the time, so was it literally like 2012 or 13 that your medical problems started to subside?
Yeah.
And you started to get your physical stability back?
Yes.
Holy shit, that must have been like a new awakening.
Yeah, it was.
Were you making art through that
I
horrible
couldn't
time?
paint, but I did a lot of drawings and
Yeah.
pastels and stuff.
There were some in the show that were from like 2007, 2009. Were some of those pieces, or maybe it's some that I've seen you put online. So
Yeah.
maybe the more pastel ones or paperworks you were making during this medical.
I think maybe the later ones around, seems to me, 09 through 14 has the most, you know, drawings rather than paintings. Yeah, because I remember, I mean, that's all I could do. I mean, I couldn't, you know,
Yeah.
for hours on end. So
How was the transition back into painting again?
it was great. And, you know, at first, I'm trying to think what the first one was. I don't remember. But yeah, it was great. It didn't seem like that much time had gone by that I hadn't painted. And by that time anyway, I was getting really anxious to get, you know, I was like, oh, screw all this. You know, I just want to paint.
Start building up a new body of work.
Yeah. And, when I started getting back into it, I would, because I couldn't be that mobile, I used to be in my bed and put the canvas.
Like Frida Kahlo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would paint that way for a while.
Wow.
You know, you remember the large canvases on the bed.
Yes.
So what, you're laying back with a big canvas like basically draped over your lap?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or
Very
put
confined.
it down flat.
Wow. And were you assisting him and like moving these canvases around, or?
He assisted me, but I don't know if it was that.
No, there was a lot of people living here back then. I mean,
Yeah.
his mother.
Oh, more your family.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Right.
Or when I met you like 35 years ago, was a lot. Billy downstairs, your brother-in-law, your sister, Darren, your mother here, and Susan's here. I mean, there's a lot of people living here. And then when he started to have those problems, health problems, he's pretty much has to be isolated in his room, isolated there.
Yeah.
And have to be done inside. There's no much options out here because there's a lot of people out here to do his job. Remember all to work there.
And they were all crazy, and so
you know how much. No.
Was it a loud, chaotic household?
Italian.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Everyone's Italian.
Right.
Yeah. And but things got better after. I'd say the last 6 years, right?
Yes.
Improved a lot.
'Cause-
You said the last 6 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
6
Wow.
years.
I was
6,
going to say
7
that's
years.
because they all died. But
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Some moved out, yeah.
some moved
before.
out.
Yeah.
Mostly died, but that,
Yeah, but no. But life improved a lot for me too, but for him, in the last say 6 years, 7 years, a lot. He pretty much remade himself.
Yeah.
How did that? So, what, to reinvent it? Do you feel like that you did that? You reinvented your mindset and your whole life. Why? How was that? And that's coming out of your re-healing from this medical trauma, and some of your family members passing away.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really. Yeah, from say 2001 to about 2016, those were really awful years.
Yeah.
Because it was just everything,
I wasn't living here, but I used to talk to him every night, and then come here. But I wasn't.
Yeah, he would come
back
here
then.
to help me physically and
Yeah.
stuff. And then finally he just moved in.
Yeah.
Which was good. But those years were really tumultuous, and I didn't know. I mean, because the doctors were like, "Well, you might live," and I mean, so there was no. And then it's not really reinvention. I guess it's a word, but. By that time anyway, so many people I know had died, so there was like basically not many people left.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, well, fuck it. I concentrate on what has always saved you. Art. Okay, so, I mean, not that I gave up on it or anything, but it did something. Stephen was gone, so there was like, no fun in doing, people would ask me if I would work with them on films, but I didn't want to.
Didn't feel right.
Yeah, because it was a different vibe, with him, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And the others weren't, so I don't know.
I mean, he was your best friend. I mean, that would probably be fucking painful
Yeah,
to just pick up and as if without him around and doing something you guys shared and loved to do together.
It was difficult, But then when I was doing the painting, I could tell if he would like it or not.
Really?
Yes, I would get a certain vibe, and I'd say, "Oh, all right," and so sometimes I feel like we still collaborate on certain things.
Yeah.
Because if I can hear him laugh in my mind, then I'm like, okay.
This is good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, my parents always used to say, "What are you going to do with this stuff?" And things like that. Well, I don't know. I used to tell them it's for the future. And that That
I love
really
that.
freaked them out.
Right.
Very ambiguous answer.
Right. I understand what you mean, though. Like, even if it was kind of tongue in cheek, like it is for the future in a lot of ways, because
Yeah.
it's like to say maybe I don't know. I think about what will be left behind by me and others very often, just because like I've talked about this so many times on our recordings, but I've done a lot of moving jobs and cleaning out people's shit, like, or who are moving or this or whatever. Like, and there's two things that I think about a lot. Where there's one artist who is one of my. It's a long story, but she had passed away, and she was an older woman, and her work was being stored by the people she left behind, and her work was like carefully wrapped up and stored beautifully and like kept safe in this room in the house. And like I always thought, I'm kind of telling the story backwards, but there was another moving job I did where it was a similar situation where it was this woman's father who had passed away, and he was a writer, and there was just boxes and boxes and boxes of manuscripts and things that he had left behind, and nobody really knew what was in them. He had written so much, but he was a terrible person, and like everybody hated him, and his daughter that had inherited all of his shit hated him. So she took all of his shit and threw all of his work and just threw in the dumpster and just fucking threw it away.
Yeah.
And it was because he was a douchebag, you know what I mean? And compared to this other person who I did similar work to, her work after she had passed is very neatly wrapped up and cherished. You know what I mean? And I guess
She was really well respected.
And well respected and loved by the people that she left behind. You know what I mean? So that's kind of was like a bone-chilling, spooky thing to me.
Yes,
to think about.
I think of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I just wonder what will happen to, to everything.
I hate thinking about it.
He has nephews and nieces pretty much into same thing he does, no? Especially two of them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, artists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Smart too, I'm sure.
I mean, they're still kids.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're creative children.
Especially my niece. My God. Really, I was kind of jealous. I was.
How old is she?
She's going to be 11.
Oh.
And I was like, I couldn't do this when I was her age. It took me forever to. But I mean, line drawings and things. I mean, really, she's really,
Very smart.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
And my niece at least encourages her.
That's good. Yeah.
Because I told my niece, I said, yeah, encourage her. I said, I didn't get any encouragement.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's great. But I think of that. Because, I mean, if I go before him, I know he'll take care of it.
Mm.
But after that, I mean...
Then God's hands, if you believe in that, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it is up to fate in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said something to me one time, because when we first met, I had all of my stuff, I mean, I still kind of do, but like just in boxes in my room, not very well categorized. It's just kind of, they're all in the same general area of my house, but
Yeah.
I write the year on them sometimes. That's about it. And you really meticulously like put things in envelopes, label the envelopes, have the envelopes in boxes, like everything has the
Binders,
title on
cases.
it, and you have like a record of everything, which I can't even
I'm
comprehend
fucked.
doing that.
I don't know.
But it's really good because you said to me one time, because I was like, oh, there's a show coming up. I don't even have anything to put in the show. And you were like, yeah, because it's all in a crate in your basement. Like, you don't not have art. You just don't know what you have.
You don't know where the fuck your shit is.
Yeah.
You got a massive portfolio, but you think you don't have anything.
But
But it's just all in a fucking
I have
box.
boxes and bags.
Right.
But you were saying that art that you sell or art that you show is going to be taken care of more than art that you keep. Because one day I won't be around anymore.
Yeah, I think
Like,
about
that's fucked up.
Yeah, I've thought about that. The best way to preserve a piece of art is for me not to own it and somebody who loves it to have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
Yes.
I'm never going to give half of a shit about my pieces like somebody who buys one will.
Yeah. And me with some stuff, I'll fucking just paint over something. Like, I don't even care. Like, if I don't like it, I'm just going to be like, whatever. But to somebody else, and they care about it, or care about me, they might want to preserve it.
Yeah.
So,
It is interesting to think about the legacy part of all of it. Because I think while it's happening, while you're making it, Or even like your friend's art or something. Like it's all so current that it's like, oh, I can just make a new one or whatever. But like I'm thinking about the people that I was hanging out with and making art with even like 5 years ago, like not talking to some of them anymore. Like this person's not making art anymore. They're doing something else. Or like what happened to all those paintings? I have no idea. Like thinking about that in the long run, it's not really like that's kind of what I love about this project too, is that it kind of encapsulates the energy of those sort of spaces, which is a really hard thing to actually contain, I guess.
Right.
That wasn't a question. I'm just
No, it's interesting. It feels morbid sometimes to talk about the future, but I don't know. I guess the way I think about it is that I feel like we could positively impact, like, you know, the remembering of shit, of moments, or of people, or whatever. You know, you did that with your photographs that are behind us.
yeah.
You know, maybe you are the only one that knows the stories, or what the hell was happening when the button was pushed.
Yeah.
But the image is still there, crystallized in this beautiful way.
Yeah. Yes. No, because I think of that too. I mean, people that are part of the story, a lot of them, most of them are all gone. You know,
Yeah.
and I think of that too. I say, well, should you write about it, or should, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know.
Well, it's funny too, because like I work in the museum field, and I have for a little while, I guess. But something that's so interesting about it to me is that a lot of it, more than just showcasing artwork or just having exhibits where the pieces are there, is wrapping the artist's work up in a story that is a narrative to get people to come in the door. Like, the average person isn't coming in because they think that Monet is an incredible impressionist. They're coming there because Monet has this story. Or, like, Vincent van Gogh is this romantic, like, tortured painter, and everyone loves that story. Most people that go and take selfies with the painting in the gallery and paid $25 for a ticket don't really care about the quality of the art.
Yeah, right.
It's, like, that mythology, you know? And I feel like on the smaller scale, like, if you're not this, like, in world stage museum artist, like, that kind of... You don't see that when you walk into a random gallery and see art from living artists. You just see the painting.
Right.
So I like kind of creating a mythology around that stuff. Or trying to.
Creating your own mythology, you mean?
Yeah, or, I mean, maybe just capturing what's already there. Because a lot of people they don't necessarily tell you the stuff behind what they're painting. They just tell you what it is, you know? Which is fine, but it's interesting to hear the whole story. Or like when someone you know has been painting for a while and you can look at their work and maybe infer what they were thinking or feeling because you know the context, but that would never be on the piece if they sold it to someone.
Right.
You know what I mean? That kind of stuff I think is really beautiful.
Yeah. Do you do any writing?
I used to do a lot of it. I don't anymore.
What kind of writing was it? Like, was it like personal journaling, or was it...
Well, that I still do.
You journal?
Yeah.
What? How long have you been doing that? You have stacks and stacks of journals?
That go back to the early 70s.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's something that I'm always interested in hearing about with people's process and the way they think and stuff. It's that, you know, there's these kind of cliches about, like, the most successful people in the world all journal. Or, like, this or that. Like, I don't fucking know.
That,
right. So is your journaling process like a kind of personal musings, sketchbook,
yes,
drawing and writing about your life and all that kind of shit?
Or things that happen, or things that happen in the world, or something like that. You know, it's not, not like Dear Diary.
Right, yeah.
You know, not like that at all. It's,
Because I feel like it helps me think.
Sarcastic a lot of times.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like that can be a good way to kind of objectively reflect on your own perspective too. Like sometimes I write stuff down and I would just try and actually just write like if I were talking to somebody about what was going on, and then I go back and read it and I'm like, what the fuck is my problem? Like I need to figure this out.
Well, sometimes I go back and read stuff and I say to myself, what an idiot. Really, I was like, oh, who did you think you were then? Or something, or So, you know. I used to write a lot, and I used to write a lot of poetry. But after Stephen died, I don't know. It just, you know.
Faded out.
Yeah, he was my audience.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of the barometer of things, you know. Yeah.
So looking back on that he must have passed away while you were sick.
Yeah.
Wow. So that must have been like a real double fucking impact.
Yeah.
To be dealing with all that shit and for that something traumatic like that to happen.
But I still went down to New York to be with him and stay with him and stuff like that. And then after he died, he was originally from Beverly.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and stayed with his family during, you know, that time. And yeah. His family also was like mine, you know. They didn't appreciate the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you do something good? Yeah. Why does it always have to be weird?
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I relate. Yeah. That's funny.
Now, how does your family react to yours?
You know, I
could tell they were supportive.
Yeah, right. So they want me to do good, and they're happy that I'm happy, but I think they don't really understand it. But I think that, so for me, like in my adolescence and in my early teenage years, like I got into just such awful shit and a lot of really traumatic shit happened, and I was, you know, learning about drugs and doing a bunch of dumb shit and getting in trouble, and my family it was shocking and terrifying, and had no fucking idea what to do with me, and I'm getting in trouble, and you know, and they were just doing everything they could to try to figure out what was wrong with me. You know what I mean? And what the fuck is going on? Like, how do we help you? We don't want our kid to die or something. And by the time I was 16, things had really settled down, and nobody was really afraid that I was going to, I don't know, fucking, you know, die, literally die. So I think at that point, though, long story short, they kind of adopted this, you know, they were letting me smoke cigarettes, and they stopped asking what I was doing, and, you know, I kind of took me off a short leash because they weren't afraid. I wasn't doing drugs anymore, and they weren't afraid that I was going to do something fucked up.
Yeah.
You know? So at that point, since then, I feel like they kind of have, you know, still kind of, I think some of my decisions are dubious to them, and that's okay, but I think they just are really happy that I'm not, like, on some fucking horrible path or risking it all, or like I'm, you know, I'm just making art. And I think I also let go of, I really wanted them to get it for a long time, and I would be kind of angry that they didn't understand me or this or that. But now I'm just, it's okay. We just exist very differently because they're very like working class. I also grew up Catholic, and they just, you know, normal things. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that stuff now too. I used to hate that. I used to hate the idea of being a normal family that has cookouts and fucking, I don't know.
Family's awesome.
Yeah, I love my family, but I used to really I used to really not respect the way they thought of life, and I didn't think they respected the way I thought of life.
Yeah.
But now I think even though they don't always understand, they don't really ask either. Like they're okay with not understanding.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Maybe that'll change. Maybe it'll even get better. I don't know. But it's like, I'm definitely not angry about it.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sweet, yeah. But
no, really. I mean, because if you're already past that, that's, you know,
drugs and shit.
And the anger toward your family or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely feel very grateful to have a good relationship with them. So instead of like, because I have a lot of friends and members of my own family who do not relate, or don't feel that way,
Yeah.
and I respect that too. You know what I mean? Because everybody's story is completely different, know. So, and you know what? It is what it is. I'm very grateful and blessed.
Yeah.
So
very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Weird.
I feel like because of those experiences too, you kind of, because of like the therapy and everything that came with that stuff, so young, you processed a lot of shit earlier than like that. Like chaos, I feel like happens to a lot of people like 25 when they like have to go to rehab.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you kind of got the jump on a lot of that processing at a really young age, alongside a lot of other development.
Well, I think when I was learning about that stuff, I'd never even heard the word anxiety.
Yeah.
Like I literally didn't know what something like that meant.
Yeah.
So to me, as a kid, I knew happy and sad and angry.
Yeah.
Like, right? That's, things are very simple when you're, young. And like, but I luckily I was able to learn, I learned about post-traumatic stress disorder or ADHD or fucking anxiety and depression. When you don't even know those words, or they mean nothing to you, or they're just something you see on TV or something, when they actually have real context in your life, you're better off for it, I think, because, I don't know, you can apply that language to your own life, I guess, and I actually understand what the fuck is going on in your brain, at least a little bit,
Well, I mean, it's good, because it's a young age that you did it at.
I guess so.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Are you guys hungry or something?
Yeah, sure. We can order food
actually.
now.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Fuck it, let's do it.
How long were we
We've
at?
been recording for an hour and 41 minutes.
It's pretty good.
This would be a very, very, very good recording.
Yeah.
If you guys wanted to wrap it up now and just hang out like normal people, we could, and we'll stop trying to divine fucking information from your brain.
Well, no, I mean, that doesn't bother me because I'm getting to remember things I
Haven't thought about in a while.
don't usually think about.
Gotcha.
And,
Yeah, we love stories and learning about people, so it's like a high.
I got a million of them. So.
Yeah, no, we love it. We love it very much.
If you ever want to do another one,
Yeah.
Definitely,
Maybe
yeah.
we could pick up again after.
Yeah, we'll take a break, and maybe if we feel like it later, we could. But yeah, I'm down to order food if you guys are.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. We'll wrap this up, and maybe, who knows? I don't fucking know. All right, we'll shut up now. Cool.
So you're lactose intolerant, so you can't
Correct.
have any dairy.